Quantum K.
But yeah, what I was saying was that I do kind of subscribe to the idea that consciousness decodes the world from kind of base geometry up. It's like that's the first layer of abstraction that your mind has available to you to be able to start to render your environment. I think that's why when you trip, there's kind of all the sacred geometry and everything like that. It's so infused with it, because I think that's like you were saying with don't trust it unless it's in kind of maths. It's like, because that's the purest, the most primitive layer of abstraction that your mind has available to you to convey information.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly how I feel. Like when I'm looking at when I'm looking at these like meditative states, you know, it's always in geometry, or like particles just forming geometry, or the inside of computer systems. Like I just like, what, you know, like I don't know what I'm like. I have to start looking and researching the things that I'm seeing, and like that's what I told Jaren, like why I started to get really interested in these types of topics, because everything is connected to our consciousness. Yeah. That's crazy.
I love it, man. I love it. I think, like, because I want to get more into like a lot of what you and kind of Jaren covered in your podcast, because I don't know, I find it really fucking interesting, because and I like just kind of getting to the root of why we end up forming these certain views of things, because I know I myself, like, I've not done a vlog in fucking ages, because, and I think it's probably falling into the same thing of why you've not put out one of these 9 videos yet, because I keep thinking like, well, right, I've got something to say, I've got some shit to convey, but I know really I'm just, I want to kind of bitch and moan. Not that I've got shit to bitch and moan about, but I enjoy playing the kind of cynical role on shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I feel like I want to manifest that in more of a comedic way. So I've been half thinking of like, I don't know, right? I think right, maybe what it is just I've started to see what I've done previously is a bit more self-involved than necessary, and not kind of like being about injecting as much levity as it could. And you kind of like, you were talking about the responsibility that you have to kind of like an audience, and I was thinking more than kind of doing vlogs, I'd like to do almost just kind of like satirical vloggy skits, you know what I mean, where I could write something just stupid and absurd, but with some weird kind of like underlying metaphorical substance to it.
Yeah.
And then it's a bit more arty, and then I can kind of like get into the fun of producing that a bit more than I could just feeling like, oh, I'll sit down and have a spliff and a brew and kind of just vent whatever's in my brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It would be more structured. Yeah. Well, that's kind of like how I started my videos. It was just like me just like doing this, just like talking into a webcam. And then it became more structured once I started treating it like a project or something that like was very important. You know, and that's when I started creating some type of structure. I started off with some notes. And the thing is, like, I'm going through the video for a few days. Usually it takes, a lot of the times it takes a very long time to construct something. And then I want to make sure, because sometimes I forget to say something and I'm like, I got, you know, like, so like, yeah. Then it becomes like something that my thing is like being able to communicate and to get to the point and to drive an emotion or a feeling or something into someone, you know what I mean? And like, if you're just like, just talking with yourself, you're almost like distracted, I feel. Yeah. And the thing is, I have to be super present to do it.
Because, right, I think the word, like, point sums it up perfectly. Because I feel like your videos consistently have a point to them, you know what I mean? You have, it's like you're conveying a set topic or a set experience and discussing an event or something that's happened to you. With me, I kind of like how I've done it in the past is there's not been a point. You know what I mean? They have not sat down with a kind of, right, I'm going to discuss this today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I totally understand, like, because I think, right, it revealed to me that, like, listening to you and Jaren, it made me think, oh, shit, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm avoiding, like, actually making a comment on something and stating something meaningful, because then you're kind of pinning yourself to the ground on something. You're saying, this is where I stand. And I'm kind of having to admit to myself that I've not had the balls to put that forth yet. But I kind of want to. You've both given me the thirst to, I don't know, think up with a witty, silly way to probably
I've been seeing
give
it
shit.
I've been seeing it in a lot of ways. Like, I've been seeing it. I've been seeing a lot of YouTube change, you know, over the years, and vlog styles change, and trends change, you know, and things fall out of favor, or, you know, like, just it's not cool anymore, you know what I mean? So like, now again, I've been seeing a lot more people just taking off all of the acts and all of that stuff and just talking and just being them, and they're like, oh my god, that's enough. Just talking into it. But then I've seen like stuff like, oh man, like that what's her name, Poppy, I just found out about her.
Did you? Ain't she brilliant? What do you reckon to her, man? I think she's fucking amazing.
Okay,
I think
so
genius.
I see a lot of like esoteric symbolism and like, and talking about some real social things with her and that guy Titanic Sinclair. Like, they know what they're doing, and they're kind of just like making fun of everything and everyone and just being really blunt. And yeah, I think they're just they're
rip on pop culture.
PR geniuses. Like, they know what they're doing, because they always put that Illuminati thing in there. Yeah, and they always allude to like corporate interests. Like, even like her video was like about that. Yeah, that stuff's like, really. And I think a lot of it like goes over people's heads.
Yeah, completely. Because there's a group called Diantwood, if you've heard of them. They did the song, I think you're freaky and I like you a lot. You'll have heard it, man. I think you're freaky and I like you a lot. It's like, it got big a while ago, like. But they're the same, man. They were these two artists from, like, South Africa. And they just decided to invent, like, this kind of cultural phenomenon. Like they just made it up. They call it Zeph, right? And it's like, do you have chavs in America? Do you know what a chav is?
Those people, like, yeah, with the tracksuits and the.
Yeah. Right, okay. Have you seen Kingsman? The film.
No.
Right,
but
okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Right, okay, well, so, like, anyone who's watching, like, in Kingsman, the fucking main character, when he's not, like, all suited and booted and that, he's, like, a typical British chav. But chav stands for, like, it came from, like, police, like, comms fucking speak, where it was just like an abbreviation for Council House Associated Violence, and council houses are like our kind of government subsidised housing for poor folk. Yeah. But anyway, right, I was explaining what a chav was for, Diantwood, that right. So this Zeph culture that they just made up was like, like South African kind of chav culture. It's fucking brilliant. But anyway, so they just designed this musical group and came at it like it had this full kind of culture behind it, and it blew the fuck up, and it's genius, and it's so comedically brilliant, and such, again, like a satirical comment on how pop culture functions. And I think it's so genius because have you seen the fucking Trump Teddy things?
Yes! What the hell is that?
That's the same thing. I think it's fucking genius, right? Because what it is, it's a brilliant joke. For people who get the joke, they look at it and they're like, that is fucking genius. It's hysterical. It's a fucking piss take. But there's some cunts who look at that and go, I want my Trump Teddy. And they buy their fucking, and they don't get it's a joke. So, you know what I mean? And then you see those cunts and you're like, you don't get that's a joke, you fool. And it's the same kind of thing. It's genius because it works on so many levels, because the people who get the joke get that weird kind of like, oh, I'm intelligent and get this joke. I must be a bit, cerebral and aloof and whatnot. And fucking everyone who thinks it's a real thing and just takes it at face value kind of just falls in love with it because they genuinely relate to what's being conveyed, even though it's a joke. And I don't kind of think that's necessarily a bad thing. You shouldn't look at it as those people are lesser than the people who are enjoying it on this kind of cerebral level or whatever. But I think it's almost kind of, it maybe that's actually a more pure relationship to the art. I've just thought that, thinking out loud. That's maybe we're all missing out, realising the jokes. Maybe life would be more fun if you really wanted a Trump Teddy. What does that mean?
I saw that. I saw that on the TV, and I thought it was a joke, but is it a real thing?
What? It's both. It's both. You know what I mean? Because it is a joke. You're not going to buy it when you realise the people who've made that don't support Trump. They think it's fucking hysterical. They will be laughing in the boardroom that fools are actually buying it. But there's going to be some idiots who actually buy it and like have it sat on the dashboard of the car and shit. And isn't that just beautiful? Yeah. Beautiful. That's the best kind of like practical joke you can pull off. Because how wide is that? Because it's been on your guys' TV, hasn't it? Because I only know about it because it were on like a fucking Joe Rogan episode recently.
No, we actually took a Snapchat of it and like put it online because like we couldn't believe it. It was really funny. And it was like the teddy bear on the motorcycle.
But like that's like what we were speaking about last time we spoke about like that, like conscious fucking business and shit. You know what I mean? I think like the guys who've done that, I'd say that's going that far because it's like that's the best form of it's the best way in my eyes to undermine that kind of cultural meme. Do you get what I'm saying? I think that's not doing benefit to Trump in any kind of way. Or maybe I'm wrong in that. How's it been received over there? Is it just,
honestly,
I don't just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's basically that's how it was received. What the fuck? Yeah.
So you've not seen anyone with one?
I haven't seen it. No, not seeing teddy bears in cars and stuff. No, not yet. So anyway, I wanted to talk about your hold on, tell everybody about your album that you've been working on and you've finally released.
Oh, my shit out. Yeah. No, I've done it. I finished it. It took like a week and a half shy of a year. Now it's done. Like, fuck. It's weird, man, because like when you finish your body of work, I think most people expect you to have this big, like, yeah, it's done, and you kind of do. You've got the relief of a task being complete, but now my brain's immediately kind of onto like next stage, because I'm thinking, right, I've got to get this material ready to gig it now, so it just means practicing like fuck and sorting out my live rig and shite like that. But I'm very happy with it. I tell you what, as well, like I've experienced a relief with finishing this that I've not with another body of work, because this is the first thing that I've put out that I truly feel proud of. And that kind of like, that's nice, because I don't feel like I've got anything to prove anymore. And so now I've hit this nice like wake of zen after putting it out, where I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Nice, right, recline, relax, and now I can just do life and everything else for the enjoyment of it, because the bit where I glean some kind of like ego definition from making a thing is done.
Yeah, I feel you. That I can understand. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't heard
Well, I
it
mean,
properly.
you're
People need to check it out. People need to check it out. I've not, right, okay, so, right, you know, I was speaking to you as well about this, where I'm like, right, okay, what am I going, because I was confused over to what to call it and shit like that, but I've ended up, like, giving it a project name.
Okay.
So I've just figured, like, I am still Skanky Mojo, but, like, that's, like, the person in the band, if you will, and the project is, like, the band. It's just, like, you know what I mean? Because I still want to be able to do music that isn't kind of in line with what that album is, so I can still put that shit out as Skanky Mojo, and that can be my whatever the fuck I want outlet. You know what I mean? And this is more just about kind of bass playing and singing and stripped down kind of thing. But yeah, anyway, it's called Akio Daku, which is Japanese for bright boy dark, and it's spelled Akio Daku, and the album's called To Be Adrift in Infinity. Check it out.
All right.
Listen to it on Spotify. Make me money. I'm broke. I need lots of money. Play it all the time, please. Play it on mute. Just like everyone watching, even if you can't be asked listening to my album, go on Spotify and find it and just put it on like loop repeat and press play and put it on mute and just go to work and leave your laptop running through my album all day, and I will love you for eternity. Get racking up them plays, motherfuckers.
No, that's good. That's very good. Yeah, go and listen to Skanky Mojo stuff. What is it called again?
It's called the project's called Akio Daku. And the album's called To Be Adrift in Infinity.
Oh, yes, yes.
I'll send you the links and make you put it in the description and everything.
So, it was inspired by your DMT experiences, right?
Yeah. Well, really, I kind of like it's kind of like a concept album that it's in 3 epochs, if you will. So the tunes are arranged in kind of 3 sets of first 3 about the kind of like the actual the experience itself, and the kind of like in fact, I think I might have messaged you this. I said 3 words that sum it up really well. I had this in my head. The middle, it's like so like revelation is the first 3, and the second 3 is like schism, and the third 3 is like integration. So it's like the first 3 songs about the initial kind of like exposure to the experience of DMT, and then the next 3 are about how that kind of shattered my like map and references that I had to navigate the world with, and then the last 3 are about how I kind of like pieced that all back together, and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
You what, sorry?
No, that I completely understand, because it is after a DMT experience. It's kind of like this information overload and like a build-up, or like a breakdown of something, and you have to build it up again.
Yeah, completely. But it's really kind of like cathartic experience doing it, because, I don't know, like, outside of psychedelic experiences, the closest thing that I experienced to that kind of transcendental awe is the kind of flow state that I experience when I'm sat composing, because it's one of those things where it doesn't feel like you're in kind of complete realization that you don't have these ideas. They just kind of drop into your brain out of fucking nowhere, and you're not responsible for them, and it's kind of like that you get them there by getting out of your way and sitting down to do the work, and then it's given to you. So it's a really kind of like humbling experience, and kind of like it teaches you so much about how to navigate your emotional experience in the rest of the world, because it's like meditation and like all those kinds of things. But again, like I was saying, it's I think it applies to all creativity, doesn't it? It's like Alex and Alison Gray say all the time that it's like creativity is like doing the work of God, and that it's like being in worship and in creation with everything else.
Yeah, no, it's. I was just talking to a reflection who's an artist, and we were talking about how when we do our artwork, it's kind of just like this flow of energy, and you're just channeling this energy and creating something, and you're in a meditative space. So like 12 hours will pass and be like, whoa, where'd the time go? Yeah.
Completely. Sorry, if I duck out a bit, I keep like purposefully muting my mic because I've got a really kind of sensitive microphone on, and I'm wary of pissing off people with smoking noises and skinning up noises and shit. So if I'm like mid doing something, I have to click on mute. So that I'm sorry if I'm taking long pauses.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just do everything. I don't care like that.
So I want to know with you though, like, what's the video that because you said you've done 9 that you haven't put out. Which one's the one that you feel the most scared about putting out, and what's it about?
I already did it. That's the thing. As soon as I put it out, as soon as I had the right
is that the Illuminati one?
In my ear, I felt the confirmation, and I felt this big load just unload off of me. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Now the videos will become easier, because it's like literally you have to go through that process in the head. You know, you have to, like, that's the change. That's consciousness evolving. So it's kind of like after you experience that, after you do all that, then after it's just like, okay, now I could be normal again. Now I could just like wait for the next horrible thing, but like be able to, like, you know, like it comes in waves. So I'm not always in a state of anxiety, but sometimes yes, when creating. But I think all creators are just like that. Like when I put up video, anxiety. When I'm, you know what I mean? When I'm creating a video, anxiety that I'm like missing something, or, you know, so it's just like, you just learn to deal with it.
How long does it take for you? Because, you know, I was saying, like, I've hit this kind of Zen chill now. I've put that out. How long does it? Because I'm not in blissful ignorance to the fact that this isn't going to last for forever. I reckon I've probably got about 3 months of this before I start to itch to really get working on the next thing. So, like, how long do you normally have as like a cool down period after you've put a video out before you start kind of itching to get on the next one?
I mean, it's always there. I always want to do it. It's just sometimes there's a lot of information to process, and you have to allow yourself to think and recover and, you know, just like be by yourself. So after a few weeks, like, I never let it go more than a few weeks. Like, somebody will always pull me. Like, a YouTuber will be like, hey, what's up? Where you been? You know, or how are you? Or do you want to do a video? So it's just like, like, I was talking to Osran about this. Your friends usually remind you, you know, like, hey, let's do another video.
This is what I've felt like with you messaging me, because like genuinely, like, this past week I've been thinking, I need to do a podcast with like Samina and with Jaren, and I've been meaning to get touch on again and shit like that. Yeah. And then like that podcast came up with you guys, and I'm like, oh fuckers, they were thinking it too. And then you messaged me, and I'm like, oh bastard.
Yeah, we should do one all three. Actually, that would be really cool. That would be even cooler, actually. Yeah,
that would be properly sick.
Yeah,
because I'd still love to do one like in person together. That's like a goal for me.
Yeah,
I want to meet all you boys. We're rolling.
I've realized that this channel is probably just gonna be like conversations with my friends about like just everything, you know, like everything. So yeah. Anyway,
I want to know more about what you're doing because I'm genuinely interested in your life and I'm nosy as fuck.
What am I doing? I'm actually learning a lot of graphic art. It's been really fun. So I studied design and all that stuff, but that was like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So like I know a lot of the programs, so it's been just easy to like refresh and learn more and stuff like that. But I'm also learning other stuff that I've like never done before, which is pretty cool.
So what's your favorite program to use at the moment?
Right now I'm messing with Blender. That's really fun.
I think you mentioned that to me before, to be honest. Like, is that what you used for the animation video?
No. That one I used a few. I used Adobe for that. So like I used a few programs for everything. Like I kind of like to hack on how to do things without spending that much money, because you have to like realize a lot of the video footage and a lot of the audio, you have to have licenses and like, you know, a lot of it is...
Do you use cracked software?
No, I don't, actually. I don't. I should.
Really?
But what I do is I go around it and I use like different like software. So there was this one software that I really liked, but it was just ridiculously priced. And then there was another software that I actually... Mandelbrot. Have you ever heard of that one?
No.
Or Mandelbulber, that's what it's called, Mandelbulb. Anyway, it's a 3D fractal, it's like animator, and like you could make these beautiful 3D scenes in fractals. The only thing is like it keeps on crashing like with Mac, but I know that if you have a PC, like it works really well. But like that's the kind of stuff like that I want to get into doing, like 3D fractal art. And like you can go into like different scenes and it's just beautiful. So like that's what I mean. Like a lot of that stuff is free, you know, but it takes time to learn. So on my off time, here you go. I'm sorry. I've just been stroking that for a while. On my off time, I like to do a lot of fractal art now, learn how to do that. Do a lot of graphic art. I got a tablet and a pen. My partner got me. So that was pretty cool. And I started doing like just stuff like that. Like that's what I do on my off time. The type of videos I watch, anything to do with how to animate, anything to do with like Blender tutorials, anything to do with like Photoshop tutorials, like all of that. Like I'm really into like the making stuff, making graphics, making animation.
I need to commission you to do a video for one of my tunes.
Okay.
That should be done.
Yeah.
I keep thinking this because, like, are you aware of Cosm Effect, Cordy? Yeah.
I think so. What is this? What is this? Is this a fractal thing?
No. He's a dude.
Oh, okay.
He's been on my podcast and he's been on like Rockazulu's podcast, and like we all kind of know each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, he's like sent us a load of these 3D like 360 fucking videos that my mate Stu's gonna like compile for us and turn into a music video for one of the tunes, like, because that's like the fun bit for me now. That's something brilliant, because it's like, now I've got this, now I can see other people to make the video stuff for it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I've actually, it's because of my visions actually that I've been getting into this. So like, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on like technology, and like this was one of my visions, like why I started doing this. I saw my iPhone, and I was looking at my iPhone, and then I saw 3D shapes like come out of my iPhone, and it was like, I guess I have to start learning how to do that. And like, the cool thing is, like, in my dream space, like, I will be aware of like learning how to use software. You know, it's like my brain doing the things that I was doing all day, and then like learning how to do it in my dreams.
See, I get the same thing with playing bass.
Yeah?
I'll literally, yeah. It's kind of like, it's a dream of reality to a very kind of high definition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's literally like spending extra time practicing while you're kipping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm not fully lucid of it, but I'm definitely going through kind of warm-ups and shit that I'd be going through and stuff. But I think, like, they've done research, haven't they, on like different bits of like REM sleep and stuff, and I think it's like hypothesized, I don't know how proven it is, that a lot of it is like that scene in The Matrix with Neo getting coded in kung fu and shit. It's like your brain's running through all the fucking motions to cement the pathways and everything. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and also cool. I am conscious, or I'm aware of editing. Like, I'll have dreams where I'm just like editing and just like editing videos, or I'll be conscious of like these ruminating thought currents of like what I have to talk about in a video. Yeah.
Trying to think about what that means though in terms of your brain function, because it's evidence, and again, there's other shit that backs this up as well, where they've done research into what I'm about to explain and kind of like prove that it works. But you can think practice shit, which is amazing. If you are kind of like on the way to work on the bus or some bullshit, you can, like, I can be thinking about running scales in my head, and that is firing those neural pathways and legitimately gets me better at the physical task of doing that thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got to, it does that. That's sick. Yeah. Isn't that lucky? Isn't that just fucking like amazing that you because I don't consciously do that. It does that for me. I love it that there's things like that that are just totally taken care of for you.
Yeah. And like that's what I've been doing mostly in my dreams. Like, they're just like things I have to do. Or sometimes like I'll get like the videos that are really hard to do are usually because of really intense lucid dreams. And they're just like messages, you know, like very clear messages that wasn't very apparent when I was talking to Jaron about this. The first dream I had, I thought it really affected me, you know, but in the back of my head, like, I didn't really take it seriously. And then the next dream came, and it scared me a little bit more and like made me realize a little bit more, but at the back of my head, I was like, eh. And then the next one came, and I was like, oh, this is important. This is an important message, you know. That's, again, you know, far bigger than
so
just you.
How do you go about kind of like integrating this shit? Because this is what I kind of think, like, when you because sorry, that was brilliant. I just heard the kind of like echo back through your mic, and it sounded like a total remix. Like when you cuz right, that was just entertaining to me alone. Oh fuck, that completely threw me. What did you just say, and where was I coming in on so I can pull my brain back?
Okay.
Save me.
I was talking about my dreams and how they come in
right.
stages of
That
awareness.
was it. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. So, in terms of like the process of after you've had that message conveyed to you,
Mm.
if it's something that you really don't want to face doing, what are your kind of tricks to actually kicking your ass into doing it? Because I kind of have, I'm trying to hold the maxim close at the moment that, like, if the thing that scares you the most is the thing you should fucking do the most immediately, that's how you kind of prioritize your shit. You know what I mean? But then there's the problem of, oh, but that's the really scariest thing. And like you said, like how do you not be a bitch? That's what I'm asking.
How do you not be a bitch? Like, you kind of have to just suck it up and do it. Like, that's why you're here. I think as a psychedelic person, you have that awareness, and like that's the thing that I try to convey. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm an asshole sometimes, and that's okay, because like people are multi-dimensional. There are different sides to people, and that's okay. You know, like, I mean, that was really hard to convey. You know, like, that was something that I had to do. You know, like, it's just, again, deeper levels of awareness or self-awareness, where it's just like things are just like right in your face, and like the reality rug is just like ripped, and you can't help but face reality, and then something changes within you. You know, and it's continually changing. You're constantly in that, having to choose. You know, and like, again, that's everybody's battle. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it just doesn't matter. You know, so yeah, it gets really deep. I just know, like, that I understand Jaren, where he says, like, this isn't what, you know, I'm only here to do, but I think that it's the beginning. It's just the beginning.
It's like at the end of the podcast, on his thing, on his little kind of outro bit, he was like, "Oh, there's something coming, change is afoot," kind of thing, and I'm genuinely really excited to find out what he's got planned. Seriously, I can see him doing some like fucking, like, just fucking off going travelling, but taking a recording device with him and doing like on the fucking road podcast. That'd be sick as fuck. I'd be well interested. I don't know if that's me just fucking,
I mean, but that's the
guessing,
thing. Like,
you know what I mean?
Sometimes we don't realize, like, you know, we're just starting. You know, like, there's still a long road. You know, how old are we? Not that old. You know, like, that's what I have to keep on putting in my mind, to just like be like, it's I'm on track. You know, and like, that's what motivates me to keep on going. It's just like, if I follow this, I'm on track of what you know, again, like, I've had this thing where it's been really difficult to even want. I was talking to Jaren about, we're all feeling this, you know, where there's something within us that's changed, where we have this hyper awareness of ourselves and each other and everything around us, that it's just becoming a little bit weird, you know, and you're just like,
I think it's something weird with the millennial generation, where I think, like, we have a goal of what we consider to be a valid level of achievement that we've gleaned from people who are kind of in their 50s, and we're citing that as where we should kind of be now, and we put that level of aspiration and pressure on ourselves, where it's like, oh, I need to be successful, but shit, I should have been successful by the time I was 21. Why? But I've done all these weird arbitrary figures that you just pull in out of the air and express, this is when. And you're like, yeah, but they're like, every kind of like famous person you see in that, who kind of talks about the experience of fame and achieving those goals, is like, they then hit the point of a weird psychological state of like, now what? Shit, I've done it all. And it's like, what you want to do, really, you want to hope to time it where you like achieve that shit, and you've got kind of like your retirement period where your body's fucked and you've just got like bear, Skrilla, and you can ball till the end of your life when you're like, 65 or some shit. But before then, you want it to be fucking the work to get there, because that's legitimately the fun bit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. No,
I think, right, because that
keep on going. I'm sorry.
that falls into like the fucking. Sorry, but like I'm gonna just bring it back to the album. But
No.
like that goes into the fucking like thing with that again, because like now, legitimately, where my head is at is I want to start writing new shit, because it's not like the reward at the end that's the fun bit. It's like, oh, that's just a thing that's part of it.
Yeah.
The thing that is the fun bit is the making the thing, the doing it, the actual the getting there, not the stressing out because like you're fucking 30 and you're not a millionaire yet.
Yeah, I think that there is definitely a lot of pressure and a lot of high expectations from the older generations, and like what they expect us to be and what they expect. Like, it's always a thing for me, like it's hard to live up to. And like, I have this conversation with my partner sometimes. It's so hard to live up to when you're just not buying into that and you see it as a disease within the mind, and it's just like, should I want those things? I don't know what I should want, like I can't even, because it's just like, I see with my family at least that they're happy in their, just home with a whole bunch of stuff in it, and everything. They just identify so much. And that's why I was talking about death and how it's really hard after spending a lifetime being a materialist and then having to say goodbye to all of that.
Because, right, how do you kind of plan for your future self in the said case if you kind of like...
That's, again, everything's a paradox. And like, you don't understand how weird, and contradictory everything really is, because that's how the system was put into place, for it to be that way, for you to conform, or else everybody will laugh at you.
It's weird, isn't it? Because, like, I understand how people see value in that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I understand kind of getting caught up in consumerism and everything like that, but I don't see all of it as totally negative.
Mm-hmm.
I just see like, I don't know, right? It's become it started to confuse me more and more recently. The kind of how the culture works and how like.
I've been finding out
like
a
how
lot
the
of stuff.
economy functions and my views on capitalism and everything like that, because the more I look into it, the more I legitimately realise that it's like, fuck me, this like, God, no one understands how the fuck any of this works. It's like, there's loads of like specialists who understand how little bits of everything works, but even the people who kind of vaguely understand it holistically don't understand the macro components of it in enough detail to accurately comment on it properly, because it's too big a thing for any one individual to quantify. And so I can't, like, because I used to think, well, I went through a phase when I was younger of thinking, oh, there's like a cabal of people in control of it. And then I went through a stage of thinking, oh no, that's just total paranoid fucking delusional thinking. That's complete bollocks. It's too complex for that. And I still think that. I still think that it's too complex for people. But I don't know if there's like, if that's just a phenomenological expression of some deeper mathematical principle that's manifesting in the universe, or whether there's some kind of, like sentience or intentionality behind what the fuck that is, because I can easily view it as some kind of over entity that's controlling something, but I don't even understand how to quantify
I think the way
like
what you said by it being a number system, so like that's just how everything has been created. So naturally, numbers would be really, really important to us. You know, so like I mean,
definitely.
it's just that I understand where you're getting at, and like it is a very metaphysical thing, you know. So like,
so it makes it difficult for me to figure out whether I see it whether I understand it to be a malevolent, or benevolent.
Here's the thing. There again, it's the duality and it's the polarity of everything, and it's just like how there's just two types of people, and right now it's become perverted, you know, and exploited, and I think that's the message of who we were talking about, Poppy. That's her message. Like that is her message. You know, she's part of this corporate machine, and she's a puppet, and like she talks about having handlers. It's all, you know, like again, just like about culture. You know, it's all about culture, and how I think a lot of people get really crazy with the conspiracy theories, but at the same time, you know, if you look back into history and you look at, you know, advertising, and my dreams have been specifically about advertising and banking and image, you know, and fame, and like these are like human things we have to work through. Like that's what I was saying. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's our intent and how we use tools. You know.
So would you say that kind of like a transhumanist vision of the progression of the species is like a good idea, if you will, like trying to alleviate ourselves from the kind of fundamentally animalistic components of ourselves and of our kind of like drives, or do you think that's something that you want to retain? Because how do you think it's something that we should then persistently mentally combat? Should we be so self-aware that we can combat our kind of lust and our envy and all the kind of terrible, you know, sins of ourselves, if you will? Or do you think then maybe in a way that, right, say in transhumanism, like say hypothetically we get to the point where you can be full of chips and bits of fucking robot parts and crap, and you no longer have to deal with unfortunate things like emotional constraints. You just have these, like, you know, perfect fucking perfect words that I want to sound wordy with, but I can't pull out my ass right now. Perfect kind of judgment of moral shit. You know what I mean? That's flawless. So you don't need that crap, and you never have fucking anger or anything like that. Is that kind of like cheating yourself into transcendence? Is that not as valid a way as achieving that restraint in primitive human body?
I personally am not into transhumanism. I don't want chips or any of that stuff in me. I think it's mimicking reality. It's kind of mimicking. You don't have to do those things to get the upgrades. You know, you don't have to do, like, to me at least, it's like copying reality. You know, and like I don't want to stay in this body because then I'm going to get old and then I'm going to die and then I'm going to come back if I want to. You know, and just have a new body, you know, so it's like everything is for a reason, and I even bad emotions, you know, even those things help. So like again, I personally don't understand that, but again, it's a materialist and them trying to preserve their ego, you know, so I think that's silly.
Like I've been thinking about this shit a lot recently, not because it's something that I subscribe to. Like I stay on that stupid sitting on the fence position, but like I've been watching this program on Netflix called Altered Carbon,
We
which
just we just finished watching that. Yeah, clones.
right, okay, don't say I've not seen the last like fucking 3 episodes
Alright.
or some shit yet.
I'm not gonna tell you anything.
So I was just like, shit. Imagine if what happens if we get to the point where we can just kind of drop our consciousness out of one body and into another, and bodies effectively become just like a
Yep.
like a fucking car or something that you can jump in and out of. And I was like,
but like you think about it.
I don't know, man. It threw up a lot of weird kind of
Here's the thing.
quandaries for my brain.
I personally, I don't think that we could escape that. Maybe that's just the future. Maybe that's just we become robots. I don't know. Like that nothing I think I have any control over. You know, like that's the type of stuff you get into, like in your head.
Like, what would the psychological impact be of living for, say, 200 years? Because like this isn't like I persistently noticed through my own life that obviously, and this is like anyone listening is gonna be like, yeah, well, fucking obviously. But the older I get, the more shit I seem to understand.
Yeah.
So I feel like I become a better person the older I get, and I just think, oh shit, maybe it'd be cool to have like an extra 100 years on this shit. And how good could you get? Because you think, like, think of like the top fucking monk we've got who's been like meditating for, you know, like think of the fucking Dalai Lama or some shit. Imagine if he could have an extra 100 years.
Didn't they
how
have
much shit we'd get out of him?
Didn't they have monks that lived like 250 years though?
I've not got a clue, because it all gets
That's what
very
they
kind of
say.
like
That's what
tricky
they
to pull
say.
apart this,
And-
because dates and numbers all work fucking differently, and I don't think anyone
And don't they like
knows.
mummify them sometimes?
You what, sorry?
And don't they mummify them sometimes?
Oh yeah, there's like the mummified monks
Yeah.
who like mummified like meditating and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've heard about the ones where like because there's ones that claim to still be alive or something as
Yeah.
well, but I don't quite understand how, because I think I've like seen footage of one where it was like proper like, you know, like corpse mummified mummy.
I've gotten all my information from Facebook, by the way.
Right, fair dues. Well, I think they were saying that it still had a pulse or something.
Ooh.
But I don't know. It's one of the things, because like I'm at that point where like
the one
I don't.
that was like mummified and had the pulse supposedly. Yeah.
Okay.
But I've seen that on Facebook too.
It's not that I'm not saying that I'm not willing to believe that. I'm just saying that I'm not willing to just definitely trust a video now, because I think we've got to the point of complexity where anything in video format is just like, I don't
Believable?
fucking know, and I've not got the time to like check out all the fucking sources that I'd need to figure out if that's right or not, or it's bullshit. And I've not got time to go to where fuck knows in Tibet to go and fucking check his wrist. So I'll just be like, oh, that's how fucking genuinely. If it were up to me, it'd be fucking. He'd have a pulse and he'd still be alive, and that'd be like sick on him. He's a boss. That must have been well hard. He stayed alive for fucking 200 years and not eating and just been meditating. That motherfucker's managed to like feed off prana. I'd be like, sick. That means I know that's possible. I might try that shit.
Yeah.
But that's why I need an extra 100 years, because then I'd be like, oh, right, I've got time to go to Tibet and check this shit out, and then I'd know. That's what I wish, man. I wish I had all the time in the world to pinpoint this shit down, but I'm getting to a point where I realise that if I want to kind of do certain things that I want to do, that I'm not going to have the time to fully explore certain parts of the things that I've not got answers to yet. It's weird, man, because like I don't know. All right. I'm kind of changing from a perspective of I really need to pin this down and fucking understand it, and kind of letting that all go, and just trying to fall into a space of God, I don't care what it is. I just love this. It's totally beautiful. All of it. all the time. I'm just glad as fuck it's here. I'm just glad as fuck it's here and that I can do the shit I can do because fucking. But I don't have I love as well all the beauty and mysteries that come out all over the world. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that there's so much shit that we just totally do not fucking know yet. Like, we do not understand consciousness. There's all these weird experiences that we all fucking have, and everyone has them, but it's not a thing that we can fucking measure yet, so we don't understand it. But why the fuck does this happen to us all?
Mm-hmm.
And why the fuck do these chemicals in plants make you have this experience that feels like you're seeing God and in communication with the divine? And why the fuck does hardcore meditation make you reach these kind of altered states as well? Because if it was just all pure, like if you're explaining it in evolutionary terms, then what we need to figure out what the fucking advantages were that drove these things to happen, or we need to explain them somehow. How do we measure this shit? We need to figure this. Why have we not got?
I think they've.
We have,
but they have. Yeah, they have. That's the thing. A lot of people are doing their own independent research. It's up to people to get more smarter about this and start, like I said to Jaren, changing their perspectives of themselves. Like doing the work, like doing the actual work. And it's an evolution. So like that's what I mean. It's not done. It's not gonna. You don't just stop, like you don't just like become enlightened and all of the responsibility that you have as a person just stops, like you got to keep on doing what you got to keep on doing. So like,
I just thought I've got a brain teaser for you. Just alright, because you were like, the transhumanism route's not particularly a thing that that doesn't feel right to you, right? And it's kind of like materialistic, and I completely agree. Isn't it kind of the same thing as using psychedelics, because you're using a technology, as it were, to raise your state of consciousness to a higher level.
Here's the thing,
right?
like
I know
for me it's not an option, but I don't know in the future if we will have say over that. I don't, like, who am I to say it's not, someone's evolution in consciousness, but it's not for me.
I've just imagined a world, right?
Yeah.
Where, imagine we figure out what consciousness is, right? And we come to a cultural understanding that the psychedelic experience is incredibly important, and it should
very
be
machine.
provided.
And
it should be provided as a human right to fucking like all individuals up on kind of like like a transition into adulthood whenever we decide that threshold is or whatever. And but it's just like you don't need to take any drugs or anything like that. You just fucking they do the thing because we know what consciousness is. It's just like, all right, don't worry, you'll turn that age, just go and lie down on that bed, ping, and then it's because it's that fucking important that it's culturally kind of like you're not a proper grown up until you've had this, because you need to realise how fucking exactly where you stand in all of this.
But here's the thing,
realise you don't know shit.
What if like in the future that just becomes an experience that you can download and like pay for?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like that's what I mean. Like I'm pretty sure that machines and human, like they are connected. And also, like when you go into DMT space, machine like things that you see, it becomes very robotic. That's what scared me.
I think it's a good thing, and I think it's kind of important, right? Because the way I see it is psychedelics are just a way into that space.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and if we find a technological way into that space, because it's up to you the way you get there. That's why there's so many different practices. Because, like as we discussed before, it's not just like drugs are the only route. Every fucking practice can get you there. It's just as long as you're practicing in the way that's conducive to getting right.
Yeah.
Are you still there? Because you glitched a bit.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
So, like, with regards to technology, if we do develop a way, like, it just becomes available as a download, or like, imagine if all experience. You can, like people do now with their fucking Facebook. Imagine at the end of the day, you could upload all the experiences that you've had of your day to the cloud. So any experience that's on fucking record, you can just fucking do for the day. How cool would that fucking be? Pardon me, but you can like process it not in the constraints of time, so you could like have access to millions of lifetimes of experiences and shit, and just a plethora of different things for the people who aren't capable of attaining those states, like who aren't prepared to do the drugs and aren't prepared to do the meditation and aren't prepared to glean those kind of things and that kind of transcendence those ways. It might encourage them more to be exposed to those kinds of transcendental perspectives. So it could be like a proper positive.
I feel like if you don't have time for any work, you shouldn't even have the experience to begin with.
Really?
Yeah,
right,
I
okay,
really,
why?
because I find that it is work. It's work. You have to invest in yourself. You have to work on yourself. That's just what you should be conscious of what you do. I don't go through life.
You should be conscious of what you do, but I think like don't you think that innately with the broader perspectives on things that consciousness
I feel like again that. Like I have people that are just like, give me all the answers. I'm like, are those the people that would want to take the pill or just like have the download, have the experience? Maybe like that there would be a market for it. Yeah. But it's just like
those are the people who I feel like would have a psychological break.
That's what I'm saying. So it's for a reason. Like I think it's for a reason. I think if you were just to say, hey, let's just download this DMT experience into like a program in your brain, which is basically what it is, someone would have a psychological breakdown. Like, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's not for everyone. You have to slowly build that, into straight chaos because again, it will fuck you up. That's just how I feel. Like I don't know.
For some reason, I didn't even consider that component of it. Then I was like, oh yeah. Like if you're taking it technologically, it's completely.
I don't know.
And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, DMT can make you lose your mind. That's a very good point.
I don't know. I don't know how you could have that experience without it being so intense. That you just don't even understand where you are. Maybe when like we get more into virtual reality, maybe it'll become more normalized. Maybe, we'll have simulations of fractals and maybe people won't be too, I don't know. But like, as of right now, I don't know if someone could just like that really wants it. I don't know how they would, recover or like you said, process all of that information and just like, and also like if you think about it, say it was on sale. Let's say there was this software that could be installed in you that was on sale that you could have this experience. Would it be like a loop that you just be in there forever? That you just be so blissed out? Would you buy, like cloud space? Would you buy it for time? Would it become addictive? That's where my mind goes when we're talking about, just like giving people experiences. And also I find that for me, watching other people's life experiences is kind of just like downloading all of those experiences that you were saying, like just having a window into like Skanky Mojo's life and like people are interested in that experience, where people are interested in Quantum Kitty's experience. You know what I mean? So like people are already kind of like going into other people's lives and experiencing that, you know, all over the world, which is really interesting. So like that's what I mean. Like would they probably charge you, you know, per month to be like or like if you'd want to stay in that constant bliss forever, it would become very about yeah. Like how would you get energy? How would you get money though? Like that's another thing. Like would that be?
Can
like,
you imagine this? Right. Okay. So you get there's the new chip,
okay,
the new brain chip from fucking some tech company,
yeah,
and they put it in your brain, right? Yeah. And you've got one of those fucking agreement things, and you know you get like all the fucking internet in your eyes and fucking all that bollocks, everything you fucking ever dreamed of, but you get pop-up ads in your fucking mind, and you can't ad block them. That's what it'll be, man. You'll get fucking pop-up in your fucking imaginal fucking space in your fucking head. You'll be getting pop-up ads.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There'll be like people committing suicide left, right, and fucking centre. Imagine that. That'd drive you nuts.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
That's what I realized. Like that's what I mean by like, would it be like some virtual reality simulation that they would just live in or just experience? You know, and rent out or something, or just like, because I know they wouldn't just give you the software, because like they don't do that anymore. It's like, you know, you have to pay maybe you'd pay a membership to a company and they would just give you a certain amount of experiences a month. I don't know, like that's crazy. I know, I think about that.
Yeah. I feel like we're genuinely going to see some, like, man, we've already seen, I've seen some totally weird shit. Did you see Elon Musk firing his fucking car into space?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no.
That's
and then,
what I mean.
did
like,
you see the rockets landing? They were just in sync. It was like watching fucking Thunderbirds or some shit. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think we necessarily have, you know, a say in where things go, but I think it's gonna get really weird. You know, like I already see it in like pop culture. You know, just like people pretending to be robots, you know, like spaceships, like the things are just already virtual reality. Things are just already really weird, and it's just gonna continue getting more weird. Yeah. That's why I say, like, I don't know, man. Like, whatever happens.
I can't wait to find out how AI all fucking plays out and shit. I'm looking forward to like a machine intelligence getting smart enough to create art that has like emotional intelligence behind it. That would be supremely cool.
Really?
Yeah, because because everyone, I don't know, it's weird, man. Everyone always is kind of freaking out about AI at the moment, and it's one of them. I'm totally like, I appreciate the possible threat of it. But I also appreciate the possible kind of brilliance of it as well. And I feel like it's going to be a total dice roll. And
but
the fact that it's kind of like...
look how we already use robots for, like, seriously, sex dolls.
What's wrong with that?
I'm sorry. Like, they're gonna kill you. Ex Machina. They're gonna kill you.
Are they gonna be stupid enough to put the kind of... It's not going to be artificial intelligence. They're not going to cage a fucking mind.
Can you imagine you're with your doll
They'll just
and
kind
she's
of like,
self-aware and
sorry, what?
Can you imagine you're with your artificial intelligence doll and like she's all self-aware and then she's just like, I don't want to be used as a sex object anymore, and then stabs you? Like, what if
if someone puts that level of AI in a sex doll, that's an idiot fucking move. Someone will probably do it and then they'll end up dead. And in which case, idiot. You know what I mean? Like You want the level of intelligence where the sex doll will put itself in the positions that it needs to go into and performs the acts it needs to. You don't need conversation out of the thing. But I think like there's a market for them. I think it's probably a good idea.
They look
because
way too
it'll
real,
stop, like,
though. They look way
I'm
too. It's like creepy.
I know it's fucking creepy, but I'd rather someone be shagging a sex robot than going out like raping.
But
You know
don't
what
you
I
think
mean?
that it
I'm not
perpetrates the
going to
whole
buy
rape
one
thing,
myself,
though?
but
By
if,
using women as objects or by seeing them as just objects, that perpetrates rape culture?
no, because I think like it's quite like I think it's a massive affront on the assumed intelligence of the general male that they wouldn't be capable of realizing that a sex robot and a living woman were a different thing. I don't I think like there's gonna be a portion of the fucking population who are dickhead chauvinistic males, and they're gonna be dickhead chauvinistic males regardless. But there's gonna be a couple of frustrated fucking crazies who would go out raping, who might not go out raping.
See, like,
now
here's the
because
thing,
there's
like,
a fuck dog.
Here's the thing, like, I'm talking about, like, sex dolls, like artificial intelligence sex dolls, man or woman. Like, that's just creepy. Like, I just don't, I don't know. Like, go out.
Right. Right, okay. Like, say
Maybe that's
fucking
just
a
me being really
fleshlight or a
judgmental.
vibrator or something. Is that wrong?
No, I mean, I don't think that's wrong, but I don't know.
What
It's a
happens?
doll
What happens if you put a sentient AI in a vibrator?
No, hell no. Hell no, that's weird. That's freaking weird. That's weird. No. No, I don't approve. No. Quantum Computing does not approve of that shit.
What if the AI was like really into it and was like, what if it's a proper kinky AI?
I'm pretty
and
sure it
loves
was
its job?
programmed that way. I don't know, man. That's to me like maybe I'm just old school. Maybe I'm just an old person, you know, that it's just like
No, I definitely appreciate it. I definitely do. I think more than anything, it's just the fact that it's what it looks like that freaks folk out. You know what I mean? Because you think it's if it was a person that you had that you just stored in a cupboard and then just took out to fuck it, it'd be horrific. And because it's something that looks like a person, and because we've not reached that point where we don't know whether it's if it's not truly sentient yet, if it's just running code and it's not having an internal experience, then that's fine.
That's the thing. Like,
if it is, then yeah. But the thing that I find most scary about AI, really, is the thing that I genuinely see as a threatening thing. Is kind of like online search results filtering, and there's this weird kind of filter bubble
that's what I was talking about with
getting
Jaren.
informationally.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about with Jaren, and that I think that's the real artificial intelligence to me. You know, like the process of filtering out information and presenting you information on the things that you already like, and sometimes the things that you're talking about in conversation with someone. That actually happened to me. And I thought it was really odd. Like, it was really weird because, like, I've been watching videos about this, of how people...
Have you got an iPhone?
Yeah, of course. Of course, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Of course, I'm on Android, man. Fuck that shit.
Exactly. Fuck that shit. Fuck iPhone. Now, let me tell you something. I was talking to my partner, and, like, we were talking about something, and then within, like, hours of the conversation, I got an ad on my Facebook. And I was like, what? This is really weird. So then I got paranoid as fuck. I'm like searching conspiracy theories, and I'm just like, you know, my iPhone is like listening to me. And then so like I found this thing where like you just basically turn off the microphones. But the thing is, once you turn off the microphones, you can't upload shit. So I have to like constantly like manually do that because I'm like really paranoid. You know, but it's like it's basically used to like market shit to you. Yeah.
But in it weird though, because like what?
What
Yeah,
happens if you think
well,
a
obviously,
thought? What happens if you think a thought and then they start marketing things to you?
exactly.
Yeah.
But again, like, there's going to be a portion of the population who are willing to sign up for that, and a portion who aren't. And I say, so it's one of those weird kind of market-driven things, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't know. I just find it like I find it really psychologically interesting, like the differences in people. Because like part of me would be tempted,
I
but
know.
only tempted in the kind of way that, say, I'd be tempted to try Ibogaine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a novel experience I've not had. How would this affect my brain? What's going on? Like, if I could try it and have it in me for a week and then it would go, I had an option to turn it off and take it out or whatever, that'd be cool. But if it was like, oh, we're going to give you the surgical implant and there's no way to take it out without killing you, then I'd be like, no, sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, I already feel like I'm seeing shit, so like I'm just like I don't need that. You know, like that's how I feel. Like as a psychonaut, you're like I don't need that. Like as long as you do psychedelics, it's just like it's psychedelic. Like you said, is a technology. The plant is technology. We're technology. So if you think of things in that way, and it's just like I don't need that.
So, have you kind of taken any psychedelics in recent times?
Oh no, because like I've been having some really crazy psychedelic experiences like within my dream space, you know, and my everyday life, you know, like I have to chill out on the weed because like it will catapult. Like I was just doing a video with Oseron and like the audio, you know, just it didn't work out. But like I got really stoned and like I was just like, whoa, like where am I? Like, you know, when you like you feel your light body and like you feel everything, you feel your hands and you're like what the hell is that, you feel everything, and like I just had to ground myself really quickly because I'm like oh and then I'm doing a video and then I'm realizing why I'm doing the video and then we're talking about astrology, so it's even more like psychedelic and like I'm in this like psychedelic space or I'm just like you know, and like you have to meditate your way through that. So yeah, it's
see, because that's something that I'm probably consciously putting it off because I told myself in fact I told you I was like when I finish this album I'm going to go into DMT space and play it to myself as that kind of like offering to it, but I've not gone in yet because like there was a few other things that I kind of like promised to fix before I went in that I've not kind of completely got on top of yet.
mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of, but it's weird because I've got this proper draw to go in, and a part of me is kind of tempted to go in, but I know I've got to be very careful because I know I can go in just to kind of be like, hey, this, but I can't be like, oh, help me fix this. I'm not allowed to ask for any help again. So I need to make sure I'm in a space where I have enough kind of like focus to just not going wanting anything. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm terrified to go back anytime soon. It's just like because it's just like my everyday experience is psychedelic. I feel like I'm dying every day. So it's just like I'm dead, you know, like the sadhu, you become dead. You're just like you're used to it. It just you know, and I was telling I'm talking to a lot of people that also, you know, are heavily into the psychedelic experience, you know, because like again, going along doing this, you meet some real psychonauts, you know, and they're just like this is tough. You know, this is all about the mind and controlling the mind, you know. And like when I get into these spaces of absolute anxiety and fear, you know, like literally just like this paralyzing fear, you know, and I have all this anxiety which happens a lot. But I realize from talking to people that make this their life or that do this and they're very serious about this that that's a common thing. it's a common thing, so like it's just like everybody goes through that, and it becomes something that's normal, and it's just like, all right, so you just deal with
It's
it.
one of the obstacles in the game.
Exactly.
In it, you start to learn the puzzles and the certain sequences that you need to run to overcome those little things and the bumps in the road.
Here's the thing. To me, it just becomes like you get used to certain things, like waves or cycles of just states of being. Like you're like, oh, I remember this. I remember this. So it doesn't become. It's still difficult. Like I still deal with anxiety. I still deal with depression a lot. I still deal with just like feeling, like you said, not good enough, or not this image projection or what you should be, or like what society tells you or culture tells but it's just like you deal with it, and it's okay, because like at the end of the day, the game.
Yeah, completely.
So it doesn't matter.
Oh, well, there's a few things I've fucking learned cycle-wise recently. Well, at the moment, I'm on, like, quite an up, you know what I mean? I know I'm not particularly energetic this evening, but, like, mentally, I'm in a very good, everything's wonderful, I love it all. And that's fucking brilliant, even though I know that's...
That, like, it'll become outdated, that idea of, just money and capitalism and all, it'll become outdated, and then it'll just be something else, like a Black Mirror episode. We'll just be using our energy, you know what I mean? So like, I don't know, or maybe a universal income or something like we don't know, but like things are getting weird, and they're changing. Ideas of humanity are changing. What's acceptable, and not acceptable anymore is changing. Everything is changing. So like, why wouldn't that evolve as well? I don't know. That's just a thought. What do you think?
No, I think definitely. I think like the one thing that you can count on is the fact that shit's gonna modulate. Like, I think like what you said with regards to it being outdated. I think there's no way for us to get out of that, because the time constraints of the systems that we're operating in, it's like it's all fractal levels.
Yeah.
So the time constraints that we have generationally are the kind of time that it takes to upgrade a portion of the system. Mm-hmm. So every time an upgrade's made, it's not the generation that do the upgrade that get the benefits of that upgrade. It's the generation after. But that generation after aren't completely in tune with the upgrade that's made, because it was the generation previously who made that upgrade to it. So it's already outdated for the next generation, even though it was a positive move from the last point that it was at. So we're forever going to be in this situation where the system that we are functioning within is outdated for our frame of reference, because it was made by the generation behind us. We'll try our best to upgrade it for our needs, but the people who will reap the rewards of that are the generation that we birth, and they'll look around at all the shit that their parents gave them and go, oh, this is so uncool and fucking bollocks and doesn't work anyway like it should. Fucking you dickheads, we're going to fix this, and they'll fix it, and their kids will think it's whack and stupid too.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean? That's how we keep leveraging forward.
I don't think so. I don't think so. What I think was the problem was, number one, they forgot what they were doing. They forgot to conserve it becomes very selfish. You know what I mean? And like, the more you get older, you have more responsibilities, you have bigger bills, you have all of this stuff that you have to do, and you're not thinking about what you were thinking when you were 20 years old, and like saving the world and everything. Like, you just phase out of that. And what's left is this image or this memory of Woodstock, or this memory of this dance music festival. Yeah, I was a hippie back then. I went to these raves. And then you forget. Keep on going.
Oh, sorry. But I'm thinking, like, of course, but that's the mentality that our generation kind of have.
Yeah.
I know not everyone in our generation does, but
Not
it's
everyone,
like the changes
but a
that
lot.
we will make,
Yeah.
because those are the things that we consider now we're lacking in terms of the societies that we live in.
Yeah.
So that's the upgrade we're going to make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
but
you
then
know
maybe
what, like,
the next generation will be like, oh, but X thing over here isn't as good as it could be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I find like what it should be is that we have to be, again, aware of what we're doing and not forget. So like it's been a year and a half into this. Still haven't forgot. It hasn't been 10 years, it hasn't been 20 years. I don't know about the future. All I know about is now. But I know that like I can understand that forgetfulness because and I can understand that cycle that keeps on happening. Because like that's what happened with our grandparents or our parents that were baby boomers, and like I just see this pattern of how they think it could be changed, but it's actually just a market, and they're just like buying into like this image, and they're just like again creating this cycle of just um, really people that are just in self-interest or self-manifestation or the self.
Yeah. But I think it's arguable that because there's people who are never going to
Get it?
try to manifest an upgrade in that societal kind of machine. Yeah, and those are the people who are kind of feeding the capitalism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I said. It's your own unconsciousness.
You're not taken in by that. Yeah, as an individual,
Yes,
you're aware of it, and you've just stepped outside of it,
and you can't
because you can just step outside of it. So it's kind of like, is it a bad filter or a good filter? Because effectively, what it's doing, it's giving people like me and you the opportunity to filter off some energy from a place where it would be misdirected and direct it into somewhere that would be more positive. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I think that number one, you can't escape it unless you're like somewhere with a whole bunch of money and a whole stockpile of food and like like off the grid. Like you can't escape it. Like that's sad. That's the uncomfortable truths that I'm talking about. It's you can't escape it. It's always 10 steps ahead. But behind you. And it's just like something that like again it's a paradox, or like, well, everybody will laugh at us if we don't have any money, but we can't just be like cave people like 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 they're yeah, that's the whole paradox. You will be judged if you do not conform. You have to conform, and that's what my dreams are all about.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm totally finding myself in this place now where I'm like, right, okay, I'm gonna become a proper baller, and then climb the fucking mountain and turn around and go, this is shit up here.
Yeah.
You should do it like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then you can like, try and kind of like affect something. I know that's totally egotistical, but I find that's the most challenging thing I can think of trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's everybody's perspective. Like, that's just a normal thing to think. Maybe if I put myself, in something high in society or whatever, I can change something. I think that's just a normal pattern to have. But what happens when you get there and you get all this money and you're high up there and you have all this fame and you can't change shit? And you realize that
No, because I can definitely change it. It's just people misunderstand like the how that's manifested, right? Okay, because the change you make in the world is the change that's immediately in front of you. You know what I mean? Like I love all my friends, and I go out of my way all the fucking time to make sure they're fucking good.
Yeah, that's
and
changed.
Everyone reciprocates, and we all fucking look after each other. It's just like fucking one of my mates has lent me some cash. One of my mates will fucking come and help me move a settee. I'll fucking help them come and fucking whatever. And it's all reciprocated, and it's like that the more kind of like successful one individual becomes, the way to be conscious about that is to feed that back into your immediate social environment. It's like I'm not planning to become some fucking baller who's at the top of some fucking bullshit. I'm planning to.
But like, here's the thing. Like, I understand where you're coming from, but I also understand that when people have control or power, it's really hard not to fall for your own bullshit.
Yes, that's why you've just got to make sure that it's impossible to bullshit yourself.
Yep.
I think again that's where practice comes in important and shit, because that is it's that constant reminder. It's like, nope, you don't, not got a fucking clue. Just stay on your fucking shit. Don't get caught out by your bollocks. Am I doing this because I've got some like an ulterior motive that I'm not admitting to myself?
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've also seen people that do have a lot of money that think that they can do a lot, but at the end of the day, it's all coming from ego, like what I can do, how spiritual I can. It's not unconditional. You know, and like again, that's what we were talking about with Jaren, was like doing it unconditionally. You know, and like I think that's maybe the lesson that, you know, creators like us, you know, have to learn very early on, so we can continue going and doing some really great stuff. Because like I said, we can't escape this as of right now, our immediate reality. But what we can do is learn the lessons that we're supposed to learn and then continue doing what we're doing. And if that makes us successful, then great. Then we can be those people that, again, check ourselves by doing psychedelics and, you know, having friends that's like, you're a bullshit, or don't be a bullshit, you know what I mean? You know, again, it's like, but that's what you need as a psychedelic person, because again, like, I see things on Instagram or like, you know, Facebook, and I'm just like rolling my eyes. I'm like, they clearly don't have people around them that are just like, you know, not saying don't fall for, you know, your own bullshit or the illusion or whatever. So like, yeah.
It's really funny, man, because I find myself kind of almost like, you know, Cypher in the film The Matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
I find myself kind of just like playing that role now, because I'm just like, I don't know why. He's probably like so fucking like, God, I don't know if it's bad or the right thing to do, because I don't know if I've reached that situation myself, because that's not what it is, right? I don't want to exist in the Matrix in blissful ignorance, right? But it's kind of like...
Or it's like angry knowing. It's blissful ignorance or angry knowing.
I don't know. That's a really funny way of expressing it. But I think, like, I don't know. I've legitimately come to appreciate the right, because this is part of like, I don't know whether I'm just trying to convince myself that this is it. I could be full of shit. I don't fucking know. But this is just where my brain's at. But like, I feel like I appreciate what the fucking robots have created with the Matrix. I appreciate it as a piece of art and an experience.
You know, like
and I feel like I'm in a situation now where I can willingly flick between the two. You know, like you're saying, in the everyday state, because it's like I speak to the DMT entity in my mind every fucking day. I feel like I have this intimate relationship with the divine.
Why do you want to go put a chip in you? You already got it. I said, why do you want to go put a chip in you? You already got it.
No, I'm not saying I want to put a chip in me. That was just kind of like a hypothetical discussion, because I wanted to see what you thought on those topics. You know what I mean?
All right.
But like I like being able, because it's like there's the divine realm, and that's beautiful, and then there's this, and this is still the creation of. And this is still equally beautiful. And I think part of like actually reaching a transcendental perspective is seeing how beautiful that the experience of kind of like, in Buddhist terms, of like Maya is, you know what I mean? Being kind of trapped in the human mind and like experiencing samsara. It's like that's worthy too.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to truly exist, because it's like, this is the thing that all the great fucking mystics chat on about. It's like, like Nirvana is like, you turn samsara into Nirvana by being here and loving it. You know what I mean? Or like, heaven is within you. You know, you bring heaven on earth through boom. You know what I mean? It's like, actualize the divine in this plane, and like, the trick is to like actually love all of it, even this totally fucking massively fucked up weird bit of it, because it's just so novel and beautiful and interesting. And every time, like, the more you love it, the more it kind of gifts things to you. It's like the universe goes, oh, you love that, it gets excited that you loved a bit of it, and he goes, oh, well, check out this thing, and you're like, whoa, that's fucking awesome. It's like, oh, you think that's awesome? You think that's awesome? Well, look at this shit. And then you're like, oh my god, I exist in this wonderful fucking amazing thing, and I love it, and it loves me, and it keeps doing more cool shit.
So
but then you can as well, like, not get trapped in it as this kind of evil dynamic, you know what I mean?
I think, again, we have to look at everything in, again, dualities, polarities. And, like, I was talking to you about how a lot of my visions have become meditative visions. I don't know if you have experienced them. Darren was talking about how you have experienced them in meditative states, like visions. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, to me, what it seems like, that's why I think the AI singularity already happened. You know, because it's just like, I'm already seeing it. I've been seeing it since I've done D&T. And it just seems like what we're viewing is this computer screen, which is our mind, you know, and things are projecting onto it. And we're just seeing that astral level or the spiritual level of things. So that's what I mean. And it's all become like code. It's all become geometry. And I just wanted to know, like, what is your experience with that? And what do you think it is?
I'm going to go totally out here on this, because in all honesty, I kind of like, if I allow myself to subscribe to the silliness of what I'd love to be going on, is I legitimately kind of think that, what were it, 21st of December 2012, boom,
yeah.
Gangnam Style signalled the conscious awakening of the internet.
Okay.
And I know that sounds fucking stupid, but I think it's intrinsically important, because I think what the internet actually is in terms of conscious levels things, it's like the next kind of, right, okay, it's like the internet is just like the cerebral cortex of the consciousness of Gaia.
Okay.
That's what it fucking is.
All right.
And so it's like, all our little synapse minds, all, like, you know what I mean, fired collectively at once, for like, with enough force and direction on one single object on the internet that it formed a proper kind of like signal path in the first bit of the fucking cerebral cortex of the mind of Gaia. And because this is the thing for us, because like that's the inhibitory system that allows you to gain control over the primitive parts of your brain, and that's what we're doing now as a collective, and that's what AI is going to be. And everyone needs to stop shitting themselves about it, because we're finally going to get some type of competency as a global consciousness, because at the moment everything's fucked up because there's no inhibitory system to control any of the wacky bullshit, and we need to stop all going, it's going to be scary.
So do you
at the
think
moment
that
it's fucking weird and not working properly, but when everything falls in, I think it's just going to be like, the planet was developing exactly as it should, and this is all exactly how it's meant to be.
Okay, so you feel that the artificial intelligence will just be a human advancement? Or like an evolution in consciousness?
No, because I don't think of it on the level of a human. I think of it as like a planetary consciousness. I think thinking of us as the centre point's not the best way to envisage.
Well, no, it's obviously it's going to.
Thing.
I mean, obviously, it's going to be a planetary thing if it's going to be humans and artificial intelligence that gain this, you know, point of singularity. That's how I already find. I find it's already happened though. you know, like just for me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's happened at that point. That was the initial firing of it. I think we're going through the process of it now. I think that's why everything's so turbulent, and that's why, because all these major components in culture that haven't been properly analysed before and have been being overlooked and pushed out as kind of things that we don't speak about and things that we don't face are all being brought to the fucking surface. And that's all because of all the kind of information and communication available over the internet. And it's exactly the same thing that you do with your cerebral cortex when you're like, wait a minute, I just did a thing.
Well,
what's
that's
that
exactly,
thing?
that's
I'm
exactly...
going to look at that thing and decide if that's good or bad.
Yeah, no,
kind
that's
of
exactly...
doing that as a culture now with everything.
That's exactly what I said in the internet video, where again there's a good and there's a bad, and that's how I find, like, that's what I said in my video with Jaren. It's going to have to be us that is on board and upgrades ourselves, because, you know, like I said, everything's already in place. And like, that's why I think, like, I've been having these visions, is I've been seeing reality, or I've been seeing, like, I had that vision of the DNA turning into code and like twisting and turning and going into the infinity, you know, like that's basically seeing the process happen visually, you know. So like, that's what I think these things are when we see or we see the geometries. We're seeing how reality is constructed, you know, like that's what I find that is, because to me it seems,
definitely.
when I'm in DMT space, it's always about physics. That's why I always talk about it. That's why I call this quantum kitty. You know, like I know a lot of people might be a little afraid about science, and you know, but it's going toward science and technology, you know, and that's something.
But I think it's all of it is patterns, and it's patterns upon patterns that make more complex patterns, and the more fundamental. Well, the more you understand the fundamental patterns and how they interact, the more you can kind of understand the layers built on top of it. And that's kind of like how your mind builds its ability to abstract and build your experience of the world. It's kind of like the most fundamental thing that you can understand about yourself and your experience of reality that's available to you. And it's like, form a relationship with that component and understand
just, like,
it.
Streaming information today.
You what, sorry?
I said you're just streaming galactic information today.
Oh! I'm going to say, actually, in all honesty, I could do to get a wriggle on because it's a bit late, and I told one of my mates that I'd give them a lift home because they're about in my town.
Tell everybody.
Sorry, what you saying?
Tell everybody where they could find your stuff, where they could find your music.
So, at Skanky Mojo on Twitter, also at Akiodaku on Twitter. It's all interlinked.
Oh, I gotta
YouTube,
follow your new stuff on Twitter now.
Google. Find it. I'll give you the link so you can put them on. And where because like I'm gonna post this on my shit as well.
Oh, okay.
So where can people find you?
Quantum Kitty. It's everything. It's basically everything with a Q or a K.
Links in everywhere to you and everything.
All right,
and everything.
thank you.
Well, I'll have to do another one of these soon, man.
I love it.
Hey Reflections, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and check out my other videos.